All right, and we're live.
What's up, bestie?
Welcome to the Cybersecurity Matchmaker. I'm Mimi Gross. I've been off for 2 weeks, so it's great to be back. And I chose to be back with my favorite person in cybersecurity.
Wait, hold on. Can we get a fact check? Is that your favorite,
It's
or have you
not
said that to other
no,
people?
that will not sustain a fact check, but I have, I tell my kids the same thing. They know
That they're your favorite
it's
people in
totally a scam.
cybersecurity? Is that what you tell them? Really?
I
Mom,
tell
what's
each of them that they
cybersecurity?
are my favorite.
You're Easter egg
And they're like,
dog.
"Are you lying?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not lying."
Mimi, your kids told me that if she says you're their favorite, don't trust her.
Okay. But I
They
do
tipped you off. Be
believe
careful.
I do believe that it is possible to have many, many favorites in the whole world. But you are definitely in there as one of them. So,
It's getting worse as
so
we go on.
what is it?
It's getting worse. You're
It's
taking this
getting
on the whole.
worse. It didn't start 100% from the beginning, but anyway. Yoel Israel is the founder of WadiDigital, which is like, I mean, it is definitely the prime digital marketing company for cybersecurity. I love what Yoel does because it's what I thought to do, which is like just focus on something and get really good at it and know the people and know the market. And that's what you guys did. And I mean, your growth is like insane to watch. You guys are growing by personnel, by presence, media presence. Oh my God, there's like an article written about you guys like every other week. It's just so exciting to watch it. So that's from my perspective. Yoel, I want to give you an opportunity to just introduce yourself from like what you think is most important.
I think we're done. What's up, David? Nice to see you. Nice to meet you, David Dino. It's a cool little middle name. Yeah, my name is Yoel Israel, and I'm the founder of WadiDigital and Cyfluencer. We're a cybersecurity marketing agency. We have more cybersecurity clients than any other marketing agency in the world. And we also founded Cyfluencer, which is the world's only cybersecurity influencer marketing platform.
So cool.
We create 8 actual solutions, not just within the current platforms of marketing of things that you can do, but we build our own solutions for our clients if they don't exist in the market. So we're entrepreneurs and we're cybersecurity marketers at heart. No one else in the world comes close.
Yeah, I mean, what's so cool about that is you guys are as agile and experimental as a startup should be. So you are literally able to practice
Right.
what you're preaching
Right.
to your clients, which is so
Most
cool.
marketers, they fit in this box and they're like, that's like very like, this is all we do. And they're marketers first. And then they'll pretend they do cybersecurity. They have some cyber or whatever. They'll customize their pitch to whomever they speak to. By the way, what shape is your mug?
I know,
Extremely
it's so cool.
distracting.
It comes with a second one, and they like fit together.
Oh,
Yeah.
are they your actual like bookends and you're repurposing them?
Oh,
You like
I
that?
will. I will
You can put
repurpose
flowers
them.
in them too. That'd be
I
cool.
will repurpose them
So,
to bookends. Okay.
to more important
So,
things.
yeah.
So cybersecurity marketing.
People should know we are both some of the most highest functioning ADHD people out there. We have
Okay,
both
I
learned
got tested as a kid and it was negative. But people the last like few years, they say like matter of fact, like since like ADHD, as someone who has ADHD, I'm like, I don't have ADHD. I was like, I don't know, do I? And it's just like once a month, someone started like saying that. But it only happened a few years ago.
That's
I
so
don't know what happened.
funny. It's so
Yeah.
funny. Well, I wasn't diagnosed as a child because they didn't diagnose children when I was a child.
Now, if I got diagnosed now, I'm on the blind spectrum because I wear glasses.
Oh yeah, that could be it. But anyway, so we always do this. Like we get real conversations done, but we will have to be distracted by things like a funny shape.
It's not. It's the. I actually think cybersecurity marketing is the distraction from real life. That's like That's what I do to relax. Is actually do cybersecurity marketing.
Right. It's so relaxing. I mean, cybersecurity
as opposed
marketing,
to the high end thing about talking about like mugs and bookends. Not my favorite topic.
Right. It's a job to have to mention this thing.
Imagine all the things I'm not mentioning that I want to say. That's what no one knows.
Oh, anyway, so that is so cool. Like I recruit only for cybersecurity. I made that choice really early. I've been seduced out of it 100 different times by really cool other tech, and I love cybersecurity. My reason for loving it is because it is like the best tech for metaphors. I feel that I
Sure.
can understand anything anyone's trying to tell me about cybersecurity if they can come up with a metaphor, and there are a million of them. So I love it for that
Can you,
reason. Like you
can't say that
can,
for all tech?
what is it?
You can't say that for all
You know what?
technologies?
A lot of tech is just
I-
either not as complicated or it's just not as interesting or
right.
relatable.
Right. Well, the metaphors are like, we're the Uber of X industry,
Yeah,
right? Things like,
exactly right. No, this is like, okay, imagine a house. How many ways can you get in a house? And I'm like, wow, I am going to sit and think about that for a few minutes. And everything I'm thinking about has its, its parallel
I
in
do not believe you sat and thought about that more
I
than 40
did. I
seconds.
still think
You were
about it
there, you
sometimes.
got to chimney, and then you started thinking about Santa Claus, and you got lost.
So I call myself an accountable ADHD. I will always go back to the topic, always.
Okay, good.
And I
Okay.
know that our topic is talking about what you guys do with
Which
um
is?
which is really cool creative things that really work within cybersecurity digital marketing. So let's get back to that, just because that is what we are supposed to be talking about. And you did say you have a lot of work still to do before the relaxing time of your day.
Well, this is my chill time before I have to like go back and focus again. So.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I mean, I think that is what I love about what you guys do. Like cybersecurity startups, the best ones are really experimenting with marketing. And you have to. I mean, the things change all the time. I see you coming out with great content on like what's changed on LinkedIn these days. Like you have to stay really I thought of a hack. I'm not going to say it on a LinkedIn live because I'm afraid
Why?
they'll make it stop.
You say.
The LinkedIn live
All right.
big
First off, there's no
brothers.
LinkedIn Live. It's they don't take any of, and I'm not just me. All
Okay,
advertisers suggestions. Can you do this, this, and this? And they're very
okay.
slow.
Then I'll
I don't
say
think
the
they'll get
hack.
to it.
I'll say the hack. It is so impossible to invite people to a LinkedIn live. But if you
Because the filtering.
the filtering, they don't give you a lot of filters. It's like you can go by location and you have
Like
to know the person.
industry and company name, and like that's it. And like
Right.
school or
Exactly. So
something.
it's impossible. So what I've found that I can do, I mean, I happen to have a great network, but I can take a link. So probably a lot of you watching this are like, oh my God, I know
Well,
what your
I'm
trick
actually
is.
curious because I used to go live a lot, and I'm going to start going live again.
Yeah, no. So the trick is basically you take the link from the invite from the post. You take the
Okay.
link from the post and you can send somebody a message with that. And so I send the people I want to come
Oh,
a
okay. That's
message.
okay. That's fine.
It's not genius, but it actually like I can
That's not
invite
a.
the
Why is
people I
that a
want
hack? How's that? That's not a hack.
because I don't think they intend it that way.
Wait, what do you mean? Copy paste the link and send it to someone? Couldn't you do that for any event?
Okay, I send it to a lot of people.
Whatever. I do that too. Yo, Ronnie
Right.
has a funny ass comment. She's our new full-time copywriter.
What is it?
I don't know if you understand the reference. So there were a bunch of mugs were given by the Chinese government to
Yes.
the Israeli like high-end
Oh,
officials,
I did
and
not
they
hear
were
about
like
this.
thermo mugs. And then all the news broke that there were like spy cams in it, which isn't a surprise. And then
How did
somehow
they not immediately think that there would be spec?
don't get me started about the Israeli government and China. I'm going to get really angry real fast. However, but was fascinating to me. This is when the fun conspiracy stuff is. People do cybersecurity in the back end, understand cybersecurity and governments, and then they're like, all the news immediately was pinned to the top, all Israeli news sites. That turns out it was not.
Oh,
Now, I just want to say, never have I ever seen in any news organization, especially anything Israeli or Jewish, for that matter. I guess that's all media, right? Just kidding. Because the Chinese are watching. That like
I know. Like, how many things are we
lead
like
with the
getting going right now?
they do clickbait, something that's very a high interest. Let's say clickbait, but clickbait means misleading, right?
Okay.
And then they lead with a correction. And I was like, it sounds like the government told people to like.
Let's
like
do a show together
That's fine.
sometime, like a regular thing, like cybersecurity conspiracy theory.
I know they're just so fun because once you start working in cybersecurity, you assume everything is a threat and inauthentic, and my framing is now screwed up.
That, by the way, I guess it could
I,
add that to the reasons that I like cybersecurity. There are like bad guys. Like there are no
Mhm.
bad guys when you're talking about like building Slack. Like there's only the people who
I don't
wish
know. I
they were
think
building
Slack in itself.
is a bad. I mean, like we're in it. Like cybersecurity is this tech industry where there's like good guys and bad guys. How crazy is that? It's like a child's dream. I mean, it's like it's so fun. Like we're on the good side. We're fighting the bad guys. Anyway, it's crazy. So this mug is not a spy cam, and I'm sure that those mugs were, and I can't believe they would take a gift from the Chinese government and not have them inspected properly, but whatever. So so I want to hear though, I'm in the cybersecurity startup world. I have a very interesting, unique perspective, which is that like I'm a little bit of an outsider, but I'm an insider. So I'm constantly watching for trends, and that's how my mind works anyway. Is just watching patterns and aberrations from patterns or whatever it is. So I have noticed that there's this really interesting point in a startup's lifetime where they are, really good startups know how to bootstrap, and they think of cool ideas on how to do organic and like push the limit to what their budget is. And then you suddenly get like a funding round that's significant. It's usually not like just, oh, okay, there's money now in the, in the bank account. It's like a lot. And, on one hand, it's exciting, but I think when you see that much money, it can also be scary. And it's like, okay, like I have a lot of responsibility. What do I do next? So I think that you're the perfect person to have on the show to talk about this point in time in a startup's developmental life cycle, because that's really where they can afford to use you, meaning like what you guys do can actually have an impact. And I think that's cool. Wow. LinkedIn is just like showing this thing. Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Terry, for letting us know that. It just popped up when she opened her LinkedIn. So thank you, LinkedIn Live. Maybe you liked
What were you
it.
expecting? I was hoping push notifications,
So cool. I love that.
On the early days when I used to do LinkedIn Live, so I was like the first person in the world to have it. So I've been doing it for like 5 years on alpha. And they had this thing that everyone that followed you got a push notification.
No way.
So, which was good and bad. So of course, as Gary Vee would say, marketers ruin everything. So I abused the fuck out of that. So whenever another marketing agency was doing an event, I would coincide going live with
That
the event,
is
so they all get push notifications. I had before with like a better guest than I knew they had, because it's virtual. I'll pull it together in a minute. But then I was doing this like once to twice a week, and then I guess all the push notifications, and you couldn't choose. I don't want notifications for
That's
live.
so funny. And then you started doing it.
A lot of following.
Then you started doing it when you were just like bored on your couch, and you're like, I have time to hang out with some friends right now.
Right. I went live once drunk on LinkedIn. At least it's a good idea. It was fine. I got off after 25 minutes.
Oh my God, that's crazy. So, okay. So that's really nice to know. I love that. So back to this. So like when and I've talked to you about this, it's so funny because I go to Cybertech, try to go every year in Tel Aviv. And that's where like, imagine the RSA startup pavilion. And then imagine there's like hundreds of startups, but like a year or 2 years or even 3 years earlier than what you're seeing there. It's like the most amazing. It's like looking at, just a room of geniuses and their ideas, and some of them are products already. It is the most exciting thing. So I go every year, and Yoel and I, so one year that I went, I had never done video content. And I said, I'm not coming home from Israel without video content. And I bought a little mic, and Yoel did a little spot with me, and it was really fun. And so it was the same question I asked him, is like, when is a company ready for you guys? Mm-hmm. And I think it took this long for me to figure out like exactly how to ask that, which is like, okay, what's the period of time, and when can you, kind of offer the most? But not just that, I think you have some insight even before you are ready to help people. So like I'd love to just, be able to have everybody who's listening get to hear some of your thoughts about, like, what does the life cycle of digital marketing look like? And where does that jump happen? And what do you do when the jump is happening?
So in my experience, like it looks like this, that they're bootstrapping. They're doing maybe a little bit of LinkedIn ads, not bootstrapping. They have a small budget, usually a small investment, maybe like a big, like a seed or something. They're probably doing LinkedIn outreach, like paying someone to like spam their connections or whatnot, which is nothing wrong with that. The budget's what you do. That's the right thing to do. And then they're probably doing like a little bit of like ads, mostly for like events. They're going to events like let's try to like book meetings or going to Cybertech or RSA or
Right.
whatever. And then they're like posting on social media, their PR, and they're like one blog a month. Then they get funding. Then everything changes.
It's like a
Then,
huge ledge. It's not like a little bit, a little
right. I
bit.
mean, you can go to LinkedIn to a company page and look at the insights. You have at least 30 employees, and then you see it's like boom, and it's like
Right.
it's insane what happens like the months following funding. Uh, and a company radically transforms. I mean, and not to mention the culture of the company, which is one thing. But one of the
Right.
problem when a company grows so much, not just with the flush of cash, but the flush of people, it's hard for senior management to actually track all of the money and how it's being spent to each department.
Oh,
And then what
interesting.
happens is people reach out to their marketers will reach out to their other friends that are marketers and hire them. And they'll do mediocre work at best, but they won't know
Okay.
because they have no way of knowing because they think they're working with someone who knows their stuff. They
I mean,
don't
you're
know what they
talking
don't
about
know.
a very dynamic function. Like it changes all the time. You have to be so on top of the pulse.
What marketing or
What did like what
yeah, of course,
this
right,
type of marketing? It's
right. So like we're always A/B testing, even just our spreadsheets we use for our clients. We're doing it. So we have like two responsive search ads, responsive display ads that we're A/B testing between clients, see what's better. And then when the old ads are sunsetted by Google, we'll choose one based on client feedback. This is like an example. But though you're always got to be adapting, trying new platforms, always have new things to do. But people don't are a little lazy. They're like, I'm working with my friend. They brought me in because they got all this cash. They don't know what to do with it and they're overpaying.
right.
Then what happens is they get to a point where they feel they're finding out cybersecurity companies, we're getting all these leads and they look great, but nothing's becoming demos or opportunities. That's when we come in and they're ready to take marketing seriously and they're ready to do actual work and they're
Okay.
ready
It's
for an
like kind of
agency to do
they've
real
done
work.
their
Right.
like they're like almost like let's say somebody inherits a ton of money, they go on a shopping spree and now they're like, okay, now how do I invest?
Right, but they don't see it that way. They think now I got to invest. They think they're doing it the right way. Just until that they find out that you win the lottery, you buy a bunch of shit, and you're like, this doesn't make me happy. You know, but it takes a while. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
well, you have to
Like
know it for yourself. I
with the sales
imagine.
cycles, right? The sales cycles are relatively longer for cybersecurity, so
Sure.
it takes them a while, and they're like, "Yo, that's great. You got 1,000 leads. You know what I mean? In the last 6 months, we got no opportunities. What the fuck?" That's the hardest part, right? Is
Right.
turning leads into qualified leads into opportunities. That's where we're the best at. It's the hardest thing for us to do too, but
Sure.
we're fantastic at it. And we're very good at being able to match where they are in the audience seeing certain kind of ads in order to get them to become opportunities.
Cool. So,
So I'll give you an example if you like. One of the things that we do that seems like no one else does that when someone speaks to sales, as an example, a company. So let's say hypothetically you're using HubSpot as your marketing CRM. Let's use like HubSpot and Salesforce. And let's say once they booked the demo and they showed up, everything looks good. And they might be called, let's say, an opportunity, hypothetically, or whatever you call it
okay.
internally, SQL, SAL, whatever. And then we'll sync your HubSpot with your LinkedIn ads, and then we'll show ads to those accounts and all of the important influencers, decision makers, et cetera, let's say 10, 15 people in the company, ads of what? What would you show them when you're getting a demo? We show them objections that the salespeople might get. Integration, price, your versus
Cool.
competitor, risk, what are the vulnerabilities, because you can never be 100% secure, et
Right.
cetera. So the clients will write up these short blocks, 300 to 500 words each of each objection, and they'll see those ads in rotation. And what it will do is those click rates are extremely high because they're like,
Wow.
so then when they come to the salesperson with these objections, they're not going to take with a grain of salt because it's a salesperson and they understand the objective of the salesperson is ideally to close the sale. Then they understand that as a company, they proactively address these questions and they already read it and internalized it and might even pass it around to
Wow.
someone else in the organization. Hey, you asked about this, and one of the biggest problems with finding a right vendor or service provider is X, is how long it's going to take to, the implementation, or how do we integrate it with our team, or whatever it is. And look, they actually wrote about that. This is how they do it. It doesn't have to be long. We're talking 500 words. Just
Right.
get a salesperson even to write it,
So
and then show them
they're
text.
seeing it like before they're even coming to the demo?
Yes, and while up until they're closed won or closed lost. Once they're in HubSpot, you mark them
Wow.
closed won or closed lost. Then within 15 minutes, HubSpot and LinkedIn ads sync. Then they stop seeing those ads. And as soon as someone else you
That
knew
is
book
so
someone,
cool.
yeah, someone else you book new, that someone else became like an opportunity, and HubSpot within 15 minutes starts seeing your ads. The optimization is minimal once you set it up correctly.
Right.
And it's not scalable, of course. It's only those, but like these are some of the things
Well,
that you
that's,
do
I
and you
mean,
start
it's
to
a great,
understand.
like, it's a great ABM complementary strategy. It's perfect for
Right,
that.
right. You're exactly but you're targeting the account in where they are,
Yeah,
in the
you don't
stage that
need
they're
to
in.
do that. You don't need to do that with someone who hasn't even like committed to talking to you yet. That's
Right. There's
incredibly
no right. So when they're ready for the demo, then that's the time to do it. And you don't have to do anything. You just set it up, and you monitor it. You optimize a little bit, and then optimization is minimal, at least for the targeting, more or less. And it's awesome. I mean, but these are just one of the many things that we do
right.
in
No,
order to help leads become opportunities. So you
and
talked
you
about the
kind of have
cycle.
to,
You work with an agency that's just winging it, looking at their ads, winging their LinkedIn, winging their Google, winging their core on Reddit, and
right.
then they kind of just say whatever, very basic, very
Right.
straightforward, and
You have to
they give good
play the
service,
game.
and they're
Right.
friendly people, and they're nice people,
Sure.
and
No,
so
I mean
that yeah.
it is like I mean what I'm finding as I learn more and more about digital marketing is it really is playing the game, and they're going to switch it up on you, and then you're going to have to like get back with it. So now very practically, I was also thinking it could be interesting to know what does it look like budget wise from a life cycle perspective. Like, are you able, you've seen so many companies, are you able to kind of give us a little bit of like, okay, series A or how many millions you have or how, like,
Yeah,
what
but
is the
Series
budget? How does the
A,
budget
look,
grow?
what's a Series A today?
It could be, right. It could be like $60 million.
Right. Well, Series A 3 years ago capped at 5-8 million. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right.
Like,
Yeah.
so I don't like to use
So
the term
budget,
series anymore, right?
total marketing budget. How about that?
And
Is
then
that
also it depends, right? Exactly, because how much of their funding goes to sales and marketing, how much of it goes to engineering and development. So
right?
that's also, and of course that's correlated with the round, but it also depends on the changing in markets of how you need to properly invest your money. But I mean, we work with companies that have $15,000 in ad spend or more across all platforms.
Okay.
That's the best time to come in. And for SEO, it's only $6,000 a month. That
For
includes
SEO, it's expensive.
backlink and offsite strategy. But like you start there, but then there's usually after you get that next big round, let's say talking 30, 40, 50, 60 million plus, then they are flush with a huge amount of cash and then they consider bringing it in house.
Okay. Got it.
And that's where things get dangerous again. One is, are you going to scale with that agency that was kind of winging it with a small budget that doesn't understand full marketing and advertising? You need to understand all of the platforms, all of the technical aspects of it. You need to understand the psychology of each platform and how people use it. And you need to understand the psychology of the cybersecurity professional. And even the marketers in house, no offense to your audience, many of them may not have a cybersecurity marketing background. They might have another tech marketing background, AI or something else. And they don't truly understand the psychology of a cybersecurity professional. Like we were discussing in the beginning of our conversation,
Right.
they're naturally skeptical. And
It's
so
different.
just, right,
It's
just
very different
saying
customer.
generic ads isn't right. Exactly. And they also think that targeting senior people is the right way to go. Let's say, so a common mistake that we see, that's why I know if you're amateur to cybersecurity marketing, is that I ask them who they want to target and they'll say something like CISOs, right? And I'm like, honey, cost per click on CISOs is $60 a click, in North America for enterprise. But on the
Oh,
other hand, but the people under them is like a little less than half. It's like 40%.
okay.
But it's not even that. But then I asked them if they have ever done ICP research. And then they're like, yeah, of course. And I was like, okay, let's do it together. I was like, why don't you just send me the 15 LinkedIn profiles of your last closed businesses, or let's say demos you've had like three calls with the salespeople, and none of
Okay.
them are CISOs. And then they find out who they think the job titles, the people that they want to target,
Cool.
aren't the people they actually want to target. And additionally, what they also don't understand, in their mind, what a job title is, isn't necessarily how LinkedIn categorizes it. So you may tell LinkedIn charges job titles, but that's not necessarily how LinkedIn's matching of job titles or functions or skills exactly works.
Yeah,
So they think,
LinkedIn's Boolean is not is not like tweaked very well.
well, they'll get there. They'll get there.
We'll
But
get
they added like a bunch of more industries for targeting they're working on, which I think was
there. That's
a
good.
very good move. Very good move on their
But
end.
but
And
I
and
think
I don't know how to improve their job title either. I think the problem is it's on the
it's
marketers.
hard.
And as
Companies,
much as I love to blame LinkedIn on certain things and they have room for fault, they made some great improvements. But I think cyber marketers are not understanding how to properly target cybersecurity professionals, the right people at the right time. They're just not good enough of properly understand. It's not they're not good enough. They're not well experienced enough, and that's not their job. Their job is to work with to
Right.
bring in people to do it, right?
Right.
Like, is to build a team around you and a network that know how to do that. That's how we come in.
Right. I mean, the best way to learn something is to take somebody who's really good at doing it, like have them do it for you, then slowly overlay and then take it, take it where you can take it after that. I mean, obviously you can't stay with the company till they're ready for IPO. Like that would be crazy, but I'm sure there's a point where they can safely learn what they need to learn and strategize on that.
Well,
But
if they want to learn, but
yeah,
many of
if
them
they
don't.
want
They
to.
just want it. You don't need, by the way, there's nothing wrong with not learning. If you know how to bring the right people and to partner with them,
Sure.
that they do the continued learning, they don't need to. I don't need to learn about accounting. I have the right accountant that knows how to communicate with me, who's excellent, right? And every 2 years I have a different accountant. I pay them to audit his work. So just like,
Nice.
and that's kind of the way to do it. And I trust my guy, and I know there are things he might miss and whatnot, like every
Sure.
human being and every service provider. And he makes those adapts, and moves on. And if I feel that he's stagnating, then I'll consider switching.
Oh, cool. Or
So
like bringing in,
I
right.
wouldn't, right. So the problem is that marketing, they don't know what they don't know, and they bring in the wrong people that aren't cybersecurity marketing experts, and they might just know one thing very, very well, and they'll think, oh, they're the experts in X, whatever that is, and they bring them in, but they don't understand the cybersecurity professionals, because cybersecurity professionals hate marketing and they hate ads. They despise
Right.
it.
Oh,
I mean,
so that's it's a huge trend that I'm seeing is that there are startups coming out right now where the thing that they are getting funded on is because they figured out how to sell to someone other than the CISO. Like the
right. Why the
reason
hell?
why it's
Stop selling to the CISO. You think the
right,
CISO's sitting there scrolling through fucking Twitter on the toilet, sitting and filling out lead gen forms? What do you like? What do you think he's doing? Like the at enterprise, the people under them aren't doing that.
right.
Immediately
Yeah,
report to him
people
aren't
are
doing it
yeah.
either.
CISOs are definitely done, and it's definitely it is definitely
But
a
it's
trend.
not just cybersecurity. You also need to understand the platform. So everyone on Reddit, not everyone, but Reddit, more than any other platform, that audience in general, cybersecurity or not, they're also skeptical of ads.
Right.
Like you'll post an ad and they'll like, I've seen them happen. They'll do this. They'll like right click, they'll find like the whole tracking UTM and they'll share the UTM and they'll start a whole thread about it. What are these UTM means? And I was just like, God, they're sharing a blog, man. Like, but you need to understand that.
Right.
So like you need to be very sensitive to the fact that cybersecurity professionals don't trust what's being put in front of them. Their job is to never trust what's being put in front of them.
Right. That
Even if they
actually
come with the
is
stamp of
perfectly
approval,
their job.
they don't. And you as a cybersecurity marketer needs to be at least as vigilant with the people that the marketing that you're doing is to ensure you need to be at least as vigilant because the people that you're targeting are going to be skeptical, which is why we build out
Sure.
Cyfluencer, our cybersecurity influencer marketing platform, because only using cybersecurity professionals being able to say, I recommend this thought leadership content and them sharing it is the best way for you to be able to get demand generation and traction for your cybersecurity company.
Right. No, I think these are all it speaks to like what's happening in the market. And I do think, I mean, I've been in it for 4 years or more now at this point, and I've seen it really, really evolve. I mean, like companies are getting with it. They're getting that like this is a market that you're selling to that you have to be completely in lockstep with. The marketing has to be dynamic, it has to be creative, it has to never be stale. And so I
Right. It
think
has
that
to be cybersecurity first, marketing second. That's how you
yeah,
have to think.
100%. And
Stop talking like marketers. By the way, scroll through LinkedIn or go to any cybersecurity company. Go to like 10. This is a challenge. Go to 5 cybersecurity companies. Go to their posts or go to their ads. You can see through their LinkedIn business page. Go on their posts and ads, and then look at them. They're just generic things. Like our ebook will tell you, the 5 biggest threats for EDR.
right.
Who are you? What is this? Like, who are you targeting? Like, you
No,
know what I
it's
mean?
crazy. So
So it's like I get it, but like use some technical words. Use a pain point in the ad, right? Or like use some like they don't know like who wrote this, and maybe a startup they likely never heard of, and remember they're being bombarded with this shit by
right.
email, by spam, by everywhere, right? So you got to be sensitive to that.
It's a great industry for a revolution in like bringing a lot more creativity into marketing. And I do see a ton of my clients are messing around, experimenting, and it's cool, like doing things with media and like really experimental. I mean, Axonius just came out with Axonius Plus, and they're doing these like cool videos and partnering with celebrities. Obviously, that's later,
But
then I have
cybersecurity professionals don't care about celebrities. They
no.
don't
So
follow pop culture.
there's well there are that is a good point. You have to be careful that
They
you're
look
doing
down.
it.
They look down on the elitist class. How many
That's true.
cybersecurity
That's
professionals are all like, I'm going to tune into the Oscars or the
right.
Grammys? I'm
I'm
not
not
sure what the
talking
difference
about
is,
fancy
but
celebrities. I'm talking about like,
fancy.
people that, but anyway, whatever. I'm not going to argue
I think
that
I'm on the wrong line.
piece. Right. All right. Well, all I'm saying is that I think what is most important and what I've seen, some of my clients do that is working is just like experimenting and trying to relate, actually getting to the relationships. And they're realizing that you can do only certain things automated, only certain things big time. And then that's what I love about what you shared. The one example, it has this like very personalized element to it that I think a lot of people wouldn't have thought. Like we can't target ads like that for everybody. You don't need to. Do it to the people who you're immediately talking to. And I think just that alone, tweaking little things like that to personalize processes and things like that, that is the pathway that I think companies are really going to see a lot of shifts. So I definitely encourage everyone to get in touch with Yoel. He has an amazing team. His hiring policy is awesome people with great talent. So everyone that works with
Personality
him,
first.
what is it? Personality first.
Personality.
People by Mimi. That's what we do. People-led growth. That's my thing also. I believe in that. And you can't work with, you can't work with agencies that you don't enjoy working with. So
Right. But
definitely
you also have to be careful of that too, because
you do
sometimes
have to be careful of that.
personality and kindness will cover up for their sheer expertise, for their depth and width
So
and
that
their
is a very good
understanding
point.
of
That
cyber
is a very
marketing.
good point. And I think that definitely like enjoyable, but also really willing to be bold and experimental and creative. And they've done that ahead of when they're with
And
you.
people are scared of to be bold.
Right. But the cool thing is you guys are doing the experimentation, on your own, figuring all this stuff out.
How else do we learn? Right.
Exactly.
I tell clients or prospects, like, we must, if we don't have failing campaigns, we're not testing enough.
Right.
There's a lot of opportunities out there that we don't know of yet, and we can speculate and we'll test and we'll learn something and we'll fail. But if we're not testing and failing, then we're not actually testing, right? Every
Yeah.
testing, if you're doing a testing, you're going to have to fail, like sometimes. If not, it's not testing. It's too safe. So you have your marketing. So that's the other thing is take chances, try something
Yeah.
new. There's a lot of
The
things out there.
companies I see making it are taking chances and trying things. It's a much better way to spend a little money is to try things out than to like build some kind of castle in the sky that looks fancy and, elaborate and then isn't going to work.
It's a house of cards.
Yeah. House of Cards.
Castle of cards. Yeah.
Castle in the Sky, House of Cards. But anyway, this was so fun. Is there anything else that you want to share? This is great. I mean, I really do think there is this point where like those numbers are high. Like, what did you say? 50,000 a month?
No, 15.
15. Okay. So 15,000 a month on digital. Like that's a lot going from
Or six for SEO, $6,000 for SEO. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you want to do it seriously and you want to count the test, and if you want to do A/B testing, and if you want to do ABM, and if you want to target different people across different channels at the different stages, like we've discussed, if you want to do it properly, when we take on clients that don't have that budget, we can like test and grow in. They know they're going to get funding, like it's going to come in a few months, then we'll like take them on, and knowing that they'll grow into it, and we'll start building out that funnel.
So you can like
plan.
you can prepare for something like that.
Of course, you need a basis. Even if you come right away, we still need to set things up, and there's the technical and there's the keyword research and all that, and then there's the main campaigns that we build on that, and there's months of learning involved. Right. So there's no reason if you know the money's coming in, we can speak now. And also, so I'm happy to offer to all of your viewers, I mean, a free audit or strategy, even if you don't have the budget. So an ads or SEO or influencer marketing. Influencer marketing only starts to feel like $1,500. I think that's it. It might be capped at that. I'm not sure.
Well, so
so
that's so nice.
People.
This is a cybersecurity matchmaker, so we always offer introductions. So there's some way of making that. So
I'm extremely well networked. So if you need any other connections, you can ping me over at LinkedIn, nice. or you can pop me an email.
Yeah. And and like you are very generous, so you'll always with your time. And so I'll post your website underneath.
Whatever. We're doing a rebrand. It's like embarrassing because since I started freelancing before we scaled, so post my LinkedIn profile.
Oh, I'll post your LinkedIn profile. By the
But if you
way,
come back to my website in 3 months, we'll be done. We'll have a new site.
my website is still under construction, but I've started to consider never fixing it because everywhere you go on my website, it just sends you to LinkedIn because that's really
That's funny. It reminds me of the Zohan movie. Was it the Zohan? And there's like a store. It's like it's literally called "Going Out of Business Soon." So it's like clearance sales.
That is my website.
So it's like
just go to my LinkedIn.
Coming soon. Come back. Until so you're like the equivalent of that.
Yeah, right. It's like we're under construction,
like
so
some like shady like electronics store in Brooklyn.
Right. Oh man, it's always so much fun. Oh my God. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. And I know it's late there, so we will talk soon. Thank you all for
Thanks
coming.
a lot for having me.
Bye.